Hello, hello. Welcome to Pokemon Legends Arceus. I did it. I bought the game. This is the thing that I was working on that I mentioned in my Crest video. I actually just bought the game, and actually I've played a little bit of this before. Kind of like the first hour or so. I did it on live stream. I didn't really enjoy it very much because I played it on an emulator, and with all the key differences between the core series of Pokemon games and the lackluster performance of my PC and the emulator settings, the game was kind of beyond subpar for me. However, I can't really give a fair opinion of this game because I never truly played it, so here I am. I also didn't want to force myself to play a bad version of what's often regarded as the best spin-off Pokemon game, so I actually bought the real thing. I actually want to give a good fair chance to be wowed by this game because I kind of just easily dismissed it. Funnily enough, I actually recorded this while I was uploading my last video, so I've actually had this footage for kind of a while. I know that the first part of this game is actually very dialogue heavy and kind of tutorial, which I feel kind of drags a first video of a series. Viewer retention aside, I'm boring. I don't fault you for clicking off because there's something on the sidebar that's more important than me. Go ahead. You're not going to hurt my feelings. It's more appealing than trying to figure out a 2-year-old game from me. I actually recorded this intended to do a post commentary anyway, but I woke up that morning with a really bad fever, and then my voice was just gone. Not raspy, not gravelly, just gone. Still a bit hoarse, ended up being bronchitis. I'm getting sidetracked. I'm healthy enough to talk, and future videos are probably going to be like the actual live gameplay commentary. But I wanted to mostly just go through the tutorial phase of this game as a general summary, rather than a jumbled, broken, garbled attempt at remembering what I did. So, without any further ado, let's get into Pokemon Legends Arceus. We start off waking up on a beach, and already the gameplay is looking much better than the emulator. The textures are cleaner, it's less awkward shading. I'm already pleased with the game. We get a glimpse of the starters and a strange professor man, and we find a phone. It's ours. And then we get introduced to the starters. Rowlet, the grass starter from Alola, was the starter that I used when I played Moon. Decent speed, mixed attacker, could take a hit or two. Gets pretty good coverage in its moveset. Hello, friend. Cyndaquil, the fire starter from Johto, was the starter that I first ever chose in my first ever Pokemon game, Gold. It's a fast special sweeper with a little defense, not the widest range of moves. Still cute though. And Oshawott, the water starter from Unova, was the starter that I picked when I played Black 2. Snivy was for the first games. Fair speed, solid mixed stats, decent move pool, great jack of all trades starter. Also cute. And then we get to learn about the new catching mechanic, which we used to catch all 3 of the starters for the Professor Man because, like most Pokemon games, adults can't function on their own. So we're here for them. And then we get taken back to the village. This is where the Professor and the people that he works with, I guess, live. You can see as we're walking through, everybody just looks at us like we're out of the ordinary and weird. Just viewed strangely by everybody around. I mean, to be fair, we did claim to have come from a space-time wormhole thing from the future, and my clothes are kind of middle schooler, not middle ages, so I kind of get it. But still, that kind of hurts. We're told to go to the diner, where we meet this dude named Benny. He seems to be the typical grumpy old man. I mean, this dude just looks at my shirt and says I'm super suspicious, and basically says that he don't take kindly to my type around here. And we're saddened to hear this, because he's a grumpy old man. But we also get to meet Akari, who also judges us for looking completely normal. And then we get to meet Captain Silene, whose glare could counter-paralyze an Arbok. As we head off to bed, we're met with a cutscene where some mysterious energy happens to be gathering. There's a Bidoof and a Barbarrel there, so clearly some terrifying events are occurring. Energy gathers, becomes too much, and strikes out a tree, and every Keebler elf in its 22-mile radius just shivered. But, more importantly though, Silene wants us to catch some Pokemon for her, a Bidoof, Starly, and Shinx. However, we can't go at this alone. We gotta have a friend. One of the original 3 that we caught. I've actually used all 3 of these as my own actual starter when I played these gens. But there's actually one that holds kind of the most nostalgia for me personally. My first ever Pokemon game was Pokemon Gold, and I picked Cyndaquil as my starter. I never actually played the game then with Cyndaquil because I thought, well, I wanted all 3 starters, and I didn't know that you couldn't have more than 1 save file. So I started a new game, and I picked Totodile and saved, and then lost my Cyndaquil. After like the radio tower takeover event, I actually realized, hey, I have Totodile. My rival picked Chikorita, but Cyndaquil's really nowhere in the game. So I kind of had 8-year-old FOMO, fear of missing out on having a Cyndaquil. So I started over again. I picked Cyndaquil. I nicknamed it Hothead because pixel art was kind of atrocious on the Game Boy Color, and the back sprite looked like it had a fiery head. Anyway, I beat the game, completed the Pokedex, minus trading with friends because I didn't have friends ahead of the game, and easily had a couple 100 hours. So I feel that now that Cyndaquil's a new starter Pokemon again, I gotta do this right. I'm doing this for Hothead, and it's adorable. Look at it. I love it. It only has quick attack though. It's a little bit different than what we're used to seeing, and the stats are kind of insane. Interesting. Plus speed nature, that's actually pretty good. But yeah, the stats are a lot higher for a level 5 Pokemon. It's very different. After deciding on the most appropriate name possible, we set out to fulfill Cylene's mission, only to be introduced to one of the most vibrant main character design people of all time. He actually introduces himself as Volo of the Ginkgo Guild, your go-to choice for any mercantile needs, and he's gonna decide to waste no time. He's gonna challenge us to a battle. He sends out Togepi, and it's kind of here that we get a glimpse of basically the new battle mechanics for this game. It's not really anything new yet with the moves exactly, because you can like master the moves in different ways. But we can also kind of see that, well, turn order is actually going to be a thing with this game. I mean, it's the same for like all turn-based games like Pokemon, but you don't really get to see indicators for how the battle is actually supposed to be playing out for the next few turns. That's going to be important later when it comes to learning action orders and speeds and things like that. But we just take out Togepi pretty easily and just exchange a few blows back and forth. We also get to kind of see a bit of the 3D battle environment. It kind of became standard for Gen 9, but we also saw just before it switched off, Hot-Headed was actually going to have 2 turns in a row a little bit later, but we actually get 5 potions which heal 60 HP in this game. And then we head out to the Obsidian Fieldlands, which are absolutely gorgeous. A little bit less gorgeous is the Bidoof nearby, which just happens to be one of the Pokemon that Captain Cylene wants us to catch. So I do. Right in the face. Next up is the nearby Starly. Skittish little things run if startled. And I got one of them too. And now for the Shinx. Terrifying. The game can't just be a simple walk in the national park, and some wild Pokemon are a little bit more aggressive, so you gotta fight them first. And it's a bit more like the classic way of catching Pokemon, though I didn't really go classic enough and thought it was like a boss battle and knocked it out by accident. Luckily, the game kind of takes pity on you and spawns a new one, which I properly catch. I think you can just toss a ball from here. I'm not entirely sure, but I just go into the menu because, you know, classic. Akari is absolutely shook at my A button presses, and then she drags us off to Laventon in sheer disbelief, who tells us that we managed to pass the trial with flying colors. Also, I kind of like how we camp out, roughing it in the wilderness. Pokedex is all handwritten, but hey, you know, gotta have the DSLR on deck. We head off back to the village, where we learn that we can catch multitudes of Pokemon and store them in pastures. I guess this is similar to boxes, and that only 6 can be with somebody in theory, but nobody's good enough to do so because they haven't met me yet, so I guess that's fair. But we do need to head back with Cylene at headquarters. So we head off. Once there, despite her general appearance, overall demeanor, and her overbearing attitude, Silene is actually really impressed with our work, decides that we don't have to die, and she even lets us actually keep the satchel, and she also gives us the uniform for the Survey Corps. Honestly, I kind of think that the uniform looks a bit meh, and the shoes are absolutely atrocious. I mean, what the hell are those? What, no Jordans? Couldn't spring for Converses? I know damn well that these don't have art support. At least we get a hat for our troubles, completing our Sinnoh Hisui protagonist look. Actually kind of vibe with this look. Once we look like a vibrant main character ourselves, we're asked to head upstairs to meet with Kamado, I think is how you pronounce his name. He actually wants us to face him in combat, and like the super smart character that I am, I opt not to face him in a Pokemon battle, but try to tackle him myself. And I'm thrown about 30 feet because I weigh about 45 pounds soaking wet, and his mustache is just too magnificent. I'm outclassed here, but hey, I guess he respects us or something. We also learn how to craft Pokeballs, which is significantly different from other Pokemon games, as we can make the items ourselves. I like this mechanic not being locked behind the post-game. Looking at you, Galar, and Paldea. And she also gives us about 3 grand for no reason whatsoever. Thanks for that, I guess. And then she has Akari teach us the basics of the crafting mechanic. But most importantly, once we've talked to Silene after unlocking the Survey Corps uniform, as well as having a few other minor prerequisites, we actually unlock a few things right off the bat. And as we leave to see about the crafting, Anthe, the local clothier, tells you about various options for clothing styles, and she just gives you the everyday kimono and trousers. It's like a basic clothing look. It's not really modern Sinnoh and isn't our work clothes. I'm just gonna ignore the tutorial for a second here, because I really want to go talk to her. For having save data for Pokemon BDSP, she actually gives you the modern jacket, modern trousers, and modern shoes. It's actually designed off of the Team Galactic look from those games. For having save data for Pokemon Swish, Sword and Shield, she gives us the Shaman Fancy Kimono and bottoms. Designed similarly to Shaman Skyform, it's kind of a more feminine look. Green and pink with a floral pattern, still a cool design though. And for having save data for Pokemon LGPE, she gives us the Eevee and Pikachu Festival masks. Obviously, they're designed after the partner Pokemon for those games. And the masks are rather mediocre in design, honestly. I feel like they could have done a better job with them. But those are the gifts that she has for you, assuming that you have previous data for other Switch Pokemon titles. Personally, I actually really like the Modern Galactic look, and I think I'm going to try to stick with that one. There's other things that can be unlocked with save data, but I'll go more in depth on those when I get around to that point. But here we're actually taught how to do the basic crafting, and it's pretty simple. You don't actually have to do things like Minecraft, for example. You don't have to actually like put the items in the right spot. As long as you have the items in your inventory or in your satchel, you can just craft the items right then and there. It's pretty simple. In this case, you just have this crafted basic item, just a Pokeball. Pretty straightforward. Once we've been taught how to craft, Professor Leventon gives us our Pokedex. And since all of his technology went into his camera, it's all handwritten. And I actually really dig the aesthetic for this thing. It sorts automatically chronologically, which is kind of cool. It tells you all the progress that you've made for each Pokemon as well, because it's taken the catch them all tagline and kind of turned it into catch them all and understand them in depth. It's not just catch and record. You actually need to catch multiples, see it use a certain number of moves a certain number of times, have it master the move, catch it in a specific way, etc. It actually gives depth to the Pokedex, which kind of was unimportant in previous titles. Sure, you can get like a fancy star color for your card, but it didn't really do anything for the game. And it's at this point that the tutorial phase is essentially done. All that really remains is learning how to keep ourselves alive, because another new thing for this game is the fact that we can be put in danger. So we're taught how to tuck and roll to dodge, and really that's about it. Akari does teach us a little bit more, teaching us about the various Pokemon around and how to get materials for crafting from trees and rocks. She introduces us to Buizel, which generally has the same aggressive disposition as Shinx, so again, we need to battle to defeat it kind of thing, to try to catch it. And that's pretty much about it. Afterwards, she gives us our own little crafting kit, which lets us craft the items in the wild from our satchel's inventory. But that's pretty much everything for the tutorial for this game. I didn't really want to bore everybody with an hour-long of tutorial crap, so hopefully I managed to condense this down into something remotely watchable. So if it was, feel free to drop a like. You can even drop a dislike. Hello, Wormhole. Bye, Wormhole. You actually don't hurt feelings if you leave dislikes. And if you want to see more of this game, 3 years after it was popular, feel free to subscribe. I do want to play a lot more of this. But that's pretty much everything that I have for this. Hello again, Wormhole. Goodbye again, Wormhole. And I want to say thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.